Hello everybody, this is Chris, the artist for Thieves of Eden. They can be found at thievesofeden.com, and we're doing some artwork for Thieves of Eden spin-off comic called The Reality Hole, which is just social commentary, political commentary. It's very lighthearted, very sardonic, and funny. And it's just us sort of having fun. What I would like to do is to pick up from part one, where I had described a very gestural method of sketching. And just to recap, a lot of people know, stick figures and the piping and lines and basic shapes that is extremely useful and very, very effective, and it's just a classic method of drawing. Where my approach is, but this method in and of itself should be, in my opinion, should be learned and absorbed and mastered. What I'm sort of trying to do is show you a very just natural, more intuitive method based on figure drawing and gesture drawing to do cartoons. And it's a way to just sort of get your ideas and your thoughts and be able to express yourself soon. And learning all of the basics and the chops is critical and essential, but in the meantime you can express yourself through the medium of cartooning, and it's just really fun and gratifying and rewarding. So that being said, we have this, which is a very gestural and looks very messy. And in this video, I've decided I'm going to clean this up and make it look more recognizable as an undersketch. So I'll just begin. Here we have this very gestural human figure with a very crude face, and he's doing something here. He's actually shoving money in his ears. So I'm going to go ahead and begin to flesh out this human figure, but just as a figure, not as a character. Just to, again, reinforce the anatomy, reinforce the design, and if I have to make any changes, do it at this stage. So I'm going to start with the skull. Position the eyes and the face. I'm starting to get character and expression here. Smile a little bigger. And you can see the energy of the figure is just sort of arched. It's not very stiff. When a lot of times when you skip the gesture method and you go straight into blocking and piping, even that's a little more expressive. But you'll see a lot of very stiff figure drawing, and I did it for years. And you don't get that human organic flow that is inherent in the way living things move without gesture. It's in my opinion, indispensable. And that's sort of what we have here. I'm following these gesture lines, ignoring the ones I don't like, and then coming in with something more rigid and solid to give it weight and mass and proportion. Proportion's a big one. Even for cartoons, I think anyway, and maybe it's just an opinion, there should be some basis in reality. Should being a really relative term. It's art. You can do anything you want for any reasons you want. But for me to express stories and ideas, I think it's nice to have some basis in reality, and then from there just warp it and exaggerate it in caricature. Bring the jaw down. And again, I'm not really worried about anatomy at this point. I'm just laying in proportion. Is it dark enough? Can you see it?
Yeah.
The other ones were really light. Okay. And that's, you know, that's all the information I need to continue the process and begin to add personality, character, costume, anything else that comes to mind. So I'll move over here and do this one real quick. Again, the skull, maybe, you know, start to figure out what kind of hair we're going to do. Don't do too much erasing at this stage, but if you find yourself getting lost or confused, you know, don't forget to erase. And again, this pencil I'm using is nothing fancy. It's just a Dixon Ticonderoga F pencil, and it's just that great middle road between being able to draw very light and then reinforcing very well without all the smearing and grime that comes from the softer leads, which can become very problematic when it becomes time to publish. So again, I know I'm going to draw here. And I'm sure you'll talk to a lot of my friends, not you'll talk to, but I've talked to a lot of my friends, and you know, they're very open about using the eraser as much as they use the lead, which is, it's a pretty good habit. And this is just a prop. It's a microphone, just really basic ideas. I'm not worried about whether it looks good or whether it looks bad. I'm just getting it on, getting it in, and making sure it all works and comes together. Calf, foot. And you know, for artists out there who are more sophisticated than I am, or just, you know, more talented than I am, everybody will get to a point where they have what works for them. And there's the way you draw when you're just sort of drawing and having fun, and then there's the way you draw when you're working. And you want to stay very loose and very nimble, you know. Don't get bogged down with anything detailed. In my opinion, my humble opinion, if you start to get bogged down with details, you'll begin to lose your overall design sense, and you'll end up doing it again and again and again and again. And it will never look right, and you'll be so frustrated trying to figure out why. Okay, so we have our second figure there in a sitting pose. Again, very messy, but there's a tremendous amount of information there. And all of this gets cleaned up and then reinforced with detail in the third video. And then over here we have an interesting character. And here's a note about body type. He's a more robust character. So coming in with, you know, the basic rib cage and the pelvis isn't so critical. In my opinion, it's more useful to get the overall attitude of the figure. So this large, round, barrel-chested, you know, thick character. Mouth agape. Again, totally exaggerate it. You can always diminish it or make it bigger or clean it up later, but you're just getting your ideas down on paper. And he's vomiting into this consumer-ready package. You know, and again, there's a few things more detailed than the human hand, but you just have to put it in as a gesture, and it leaves it very loose and very natural. You know, if you start in getting bogged down with trying to construct and build that finger, and then this one, it becomes very stiff and unnatural. This one just flows and looks human, alive, which is critical, in my opinion, critical for cartooning. They have to have some breath of life into them. And again, suggestion of hair. You know, don't have to stay with it. Hairline. Maybe glasses. No. And again, just simple shapes and ideas. And again, as messy as that looks, once that's cleaned up, you'll begin to really see the information come through. And that's it for this video. And in the third video, we're going to clean this up, and we're going to begin to approach them with character and costume and detail. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to check us out at thievesofeden.com.